have maintenance questions? Do you have reoccurring issues with your truck? We've got Mike the mechanic on today, and he's going to be here to answer your questions. Stay tuned. Bring your questions.
Paying too much for trucking insurance? What if you could save more by making one simple phone call and keep more profit? You could very well do just that with one simple call to Seabright Agency, 800-366-6466. Call now.
Now here's a question that all owner-operators and small fleet owners should consider. What happens when you access the unrivaled advantages that are available through the ES Advantage program? We asked Jeff and Charlie from Contractors Corner to share their thoughts on how they've been able to utilize the discounts and services that are a part of the ES Advantage.
Your business will make you money if you do well at that business. And ES Advantage in trucking, they do really well at providing those services. So the effect that ES has had on our personal trucking operations, not even talking about what we do on the consulting arena, I've been able to save thousands of dollars a year in fuel because of the relationship with them. I have a new accountant that I work with, trucker CFO, that I learned about from ES Advantage.
They're giving you that 10,000 yard kind of support from behind that creates a way for you to succeed, which is one of the things that we love, because anything you can do to help someone succeed is going to help them succeed. They make money by making sure you make money.
Now, if you're an owner-operator or small fleet owner and you would like to learn more about how you can drive savings to the bottom line of your business, the ES Advantage program has the discounts and services that deliver the kind of unrivaled advantages that are designed to help you improve your overall operation. Get connected with the ES Advantage today.
Well, hey, everybody. It is Tuesday, the 24th of October, and we are here. We are live. And to answer your question, yes, Mike the mechanic will be here. Wait. I think you actually asked it. Will Narc be here? I think. Yes, but he's going to be here as Mike the mechanic. You know the difference. You know. I'm just saying. Hey, what's up, everybody? Hey, so Jeff's here, chilling in the truck. Looking at
Dude, you totally cut yourself off with the commercial. I just wanted to point that out. It was hilarious.
How? Where?
When you hit go on the commercial, you were like right at the end of a sentence.
I know. That's actually where it cut.
It's like half a word, but I was like, ooh.
So
I got something.
I know it was a hard cut because I screwed up on the edit right before the show on the opener, and I was like, damn it, man. And I just ran out of time. So yeah, whatever, man. Craig was first today. Let's just say that, and he gave himself a trophy and a squirrel. I'm not sure what the squirrel is. I like the squirrel. It gets my attention. But he gave himself a trophy because, he owns his own business and didn't ask anyone to give him a trophy. He gave himself a trophy.
Oh, snap.
Because he wanted a trophy. He got one. His company gave him one right there. Bam. Jim Wall was all up in here. Wimpy McPote's here. He asked if we could do a live feed on bankruptcy, please. Okay. And he said the only one making money at Swift is Swift. I disagree.
I'm making money.
Yeah, and I haven't been working a whole lot, but I've been making money. I'm just saying.
It's not as much as it was 18 months ago.
Ain't that the truth?
But
yeah. Narcs, I'll put you out of service. Maybe you can invite the other trucker James Best to the channel. No thanks. I would rather not. We're good there. Let's see. Dick Cheese. Great name. Just gonna throw it out there. I needed to buy some security and company fuel card. So yeah. Someone got his card info. And $500 for the fuel. And that's weird. And that's a lot going on a lot right now. Because this is all we were talking about this before the show, like an hour before the show. And I was telling them that, that dude that I know over at Target got hit for like $3,000 over 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. And the current settlement he had going on, they were able to just refund that right away. But the stuff that had already cleared had to go back through COM data to be investigated. So
Yeah,
and
I've
don't
had that
have-
happen before,
Yeah.
and it took months.
Oh, that sucks. Because that's going to
took
be like
months.
$1,300, I think, if I remember right.
Yeah.
Let's see what else. Who else? Apparently, there was a big nasty wreck up on I-55. 150 some odd cars, 7 people dead. That's just crazy to me. That started a whole conversation about driving slow, and some people think that driving slow is bad, and I say you're wrong. I don't know.
As long as
I'm driving within the legal limits,
I will say that if you're going to drive slow like I do, stay in the freaking right lane.
right?
Don't
Live
be
over there.
passing people. Live in the right lane. That's what I
I
do.
wave at people as they go by. Hey, what's up?
I mean,
they're
don't be. So
they're
I
usually
saw a
catching me,
comment,
but-
or I saw one of the comments was about every time you see a prime guy doing 62. So here is something that I will agree with you guys on 100%. Those prime guys trying to pass me. I'm doing 60. They're doing 62. Come on, man.
I slow down, let them go by.
I do too, but I'm just shaking my head at them. It's like, dude,
Yeah.
you're gonna get another 2 miles today, basically.
Yeah, that was I'm dumb, I'm slow, I follow coach. Every time I see a prime ink on the highway, they are always holding up traffic and creating dangerous situation with their 62 mile per hour POS. I don't think
Yeah, I mean,
we can agree to disagree because, like I said, I mean, Jeff and I drive 60 pretty much everywhere we go. I don't know. In all my years, I've never been rear-ended. I've never been involved in an accident where I was driving, and I said that as much earlier.
not even close, actually.
Yeah. In fact, I get way more time.
I've had the one accident in 17 years, and everybody that knows me knows about that accident,
Right.
where I spun out in the ice
Yeah.
in Nebraska in the middle of wintertime when I shouldn't have been out there.
Like this, truck and trailer.
Yeah, I did a 180 in the middle of I-80. I like
That's
saying that
awesome.
because it's cool. Hit the ditch, did not roll over. And when I did get everything, I got out of the ditch and tire repair that got popped, all that stuff, and I got to the I think it was a Toyota dealership at Salt Lake City.
Right.
Guess what? We opened the trailer up, and I'm like, I don't know about this.
Right.
It was body panels.
Yeah.
Dude, nothing
crazy.
happened to the load. I was shocked. The parts guy was even like, yeah, let's see. I heard what happened.
What's up, Shorts? Glad you're here. Nice to see you. I don't normally see you here, so that's
But
cool.
yeah, if I had been doing 70 down that road, imagine what would have happened to me, Charlie. I mean, come on.
You might have done a full 360, bro.
If we want to play that game,
What if you did a 270? That would have been tragic. I'm just saying. That
it would have been a longer ride.
Right.
See, I'm one of those people too that, like, when stuff like that happens to me, I'm like totally just like a passenger in my mind.
Right.
It's like, oh, this is happening.
Jump in the hood. Let's get this train wreck started. Hit the like button. Thank you, sir.
Yay.
I'm assuming you're a sir. I don't know. Maybe you're not. Maybe you identify as an attack helicopter. I don't know. You do you. I just use the general sir because I don't know. Why not? Oh, Tim, all up in Petro at Perrysburg, Ohio.
Nice.
Chump in the Hood said, like the new intro. Thank you. Been working on some stuff. Jonah Green, good evening. Chump in the Hood came back, said somebody steal trucker taught a computer module. Apparently he's having trouble with his trucks. And his vet, something like that. I don't know. There's all kinds of, he's got like a bad stretch going on. It sucks. I look, I'm gonna tell you, I feel for a guy because he expected a couple of days down and then
it's a week's.
Yeah, it sucks. That's like shitty. Sorry, bad word. Let's see. Wait, Jump in the Hood said never buy anything but a Cummins or a Detroit. Never buy Mack, Volvo, International, or PACCAR engines. See, I'm just going with Detroit personally. I mean, that's cool.
Yeah, I'm a Detroit guy. Specifically, the whole drivetrain being Detroit.
Right. I really dig it. Oh, Michael Ford, what's going on? Blackbeard, what's going on? Good to see you. It's been a hot minute since I've been stacked with loads. Life on 18 Wheels said. You asked last week. Oh, Mike Ford said, you asked last week what I did to prepare for retirement. I invested in land, owned property in 4 different states.
I think that's smart.
That was a good call, man.
I think that's a good, yeah. I'm not a financial advisor or a stock broker licensed or anything like that, but I think that's a really good portfolio there.
So, Narcs, I'll put you out of service. Says, fact, the safest speed is flowing at the speed of everyone else. I will not argue, but I will disagree. Wait, does that make sense? So, if everyone's going at 80 miles an hour, I'm not driving 80. I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
Not in a big truck.
Nope.
I'm just not. So, if everybody's going 80, clearly I'm going to be screwed, right? Because number one, my truck's set at 70. I mean, max. So, I already can't do that.
And,
nor do I want to.
So, we're going to need to put this one to bed before Mike gets on here. But so, if you don't want to believe us and our anecdotal evidence and those other people that we know that do the same thing we do, go check out the statistics. Go do that. There's all sorts of highway statistics that will prove you wrong on this. And unfortunately for all of us, because I do disagree with the speed limiters, one of the things that's driving the speed limiters is that statistical data, hard data that proves that slower trucks have less accidents. So there you go. You know, you talk about safety. We focus on the fuel mileage aspect, but you want to get into the safety, let's talk about the actual statistics. And that's all I have to say about that.
That's all I'm going to say about that. Because Mom always said life was like a box of chocolates. Oh, anyone moving faster?
Box trucks.
Yeah.
Box trucks. I hate
the middle 40 lane cruisers too, personally.
On the 20 and 40, there's a lot of box trucks, Charlie. And I'm not talking about the $350,000 FedEx custom critical guys that do 2,000 miles an hour down the road.
Right.
But those little furniture mover dudes that go 1,000 miles an hour down the hill, but then they're at 20 going up the hill.
Right.
And they will not switch freaking lanes.
Right. Big Dog Trucker, I made alive. What's up?
Oh, nice.
Good to see you. Glad you're here. Travis Jones said, any other drivers who can't see the maintenance balance on the settlement? Yeah, they changed that. You actually got to go look in the little section of your settlement. It's under truck.
I was just
and
looking
maintenance.
at it. Right. If you go to the portal and you go to my info.
It's annoying. I'm not going to lie either. It bothers me.
Is it under unit master? No, it's under
trucks and then unit
truck units, and then you can see your maintenance account. It annoys me too. You know, Charlie and I once had an argument about how to route people to our website, and unfortunately, I have to agree with him at this point. The more clicks, I do. It's annoying, but you know, it's just more clicks, man.
Yeah,
I mean, come on, just have it on the settlement like it used to be.
Hey Tim, Craig's at the Petro. Just saying.
Oh yeah.
And Tim identifies as the Hulk when he gets mad. I think his clothes fall off and stuff.
Is
that weird?
I assure you, Tim, you are not the only one.
And Craig said he loves his Volvo. Pulls like an old Cat C13. Just saying.
And he gets good fuel mileage too. Mike
Anderson's here. Narc is on his way. I mean, Mike, I apologize. I always forget which name you use. I know. Because today he's not Narc. He's Mike. Anyhow, those of you who don't know Mike the Mechanic, he is a friend of ours. He has an interesting channel. It's totally different than what we do here. You will catch me over there from time to time.
It's a fun channel. He does it for the giggles.
I think it's funny. He will slam people in a heartbeat. If he thinks you're a liar, boy, you are in trouble. Oh, let's see. I'm going through the chat. Sorry, y'all. Yeah, Tim, they just moved where it's displaying. It'll show you your current week stuff on the Swift settlement. For those of you who don't know what we're actually talking about, our maintenance account balance stuff used to show up on our settlements, and now it doesn't. You have to go look for it. Oh my gosh.
And it's not like they told us that.
Right. Yeah, it just happened. It just disappeared one day.
We know this because a bunch of people in our private Facebook group brought it up. We're like, I don't know. And then we figured it out on our own. And now that's the thing.
This lady right here, I met her this week over at Target. And I got to tell you, man, I felt good. She just made me feel good about what we do, Jeff, because she came in and she was just like on fire. She's like, "Oh my God, you're here! I met you, and I got a hug. I mean, like everything. It was awesome. It was very cool. And then I got to help her out again right there on the spot.
So you need to screenshot that and send it to what's her name, the lady that works the company store in Phoenix that doesn't believe that you're Swift famous,
right? You're awesome. I hope you're doing well, and thank you for being here. Big Dog Trucker asked Craig, what are you getting for fuel mileage, man? And Mike Henderson said, Mac 33, you can check your balance. Yep. It's just a pain in the butt, man. That's all. And I don't know. It's weird stuff. Oh, Jesus. Don't start it, Wimpy. Stop.
I'm going to put it up because you won't. Wimpy McPote says, Loves has a sale on Zippo lighters, Charlie. Harley Davidson branded. They're 50% off.
My lighter works just
all
fine.
Are ringing up under $20.
I don't want to hear it.
Well, when you decide to man up and get a real lighter, you let us know.
Whatever, bro. Whatever. Donna, hey. Good to see you. Thank you for doing the stuff you do. Oh, God. Got a $58 lighter for $18. That's
nice.
Is it really a $58 lighter, though? Or was it an $18 lighter that was marked up to $58 and then they marked it back down to what it should be? Just saying. Because, you know, that Harley name, we all know them people out there that wear all that Harley Davidson stuff that don't own a bike. I'm just going to throw it out there. They trip me out. Maybe they're like, someday I'll own one. Meanwhile,
but you know what?
This way.
But I you know, let's unpack this a little bit.
Oh,
maybe they are saving money to buy one instead of borrowing $56,000.
I will call BS on that. You want to know why? Because for what they pay for that HD branded merchandise, they already would have been able to buy a bike. I'm just saying.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Look, Harley t-shirts, $50. You know what I mean? Yeah, then there's Bear Hunter. Then there's those of us who have two. Don't get me started.
Hey, I did not mention your name, Bear Hunter. You get out of here.
So to answer your question about
nice.
Big Dog, that's Craig's 30, 60, and 90-day rolling averages on fuel mileage. 30 days, 8.88. 60 days, 8.83. 90 days, 8.93. He's kind of in the middle of both of those right now. It's interesting. Wonder what's changed.
We should point out again, Charlie, the reason why we want to see numbers like that, because it's been pointed out that, well, it depends on terrain and weight of the load and this and that, everything else. Yeah, that's why we go for averages, 30, 60, 90-day averages, because that's going to incorporate all of those weird things into your data.
Right. Hey, you know what we should talk about before Mike gets here? This stuff right here. Hang on, let me push buttons. Share screen.
ESA stuff.
Yeah. EIA.
Or the EIA, whatever. You know what I mean.
You know what I mean. You know why. Let me hit this button F11 because everybody will laugh at me for all the tabs I have open. Wait, let's do it anyhow with the tabs open. Then everybody can yell at me. Oh, they can't see it. Nice. Oh, that's gold. So this week, it doesn't show my tabs because I shared just the screen, not the whole tab. That's awesome.
Oh, did we learn to do a thing? Okay.
You be quiet. I did it accidentally. I don't know how I did it. So this week, let me make that larger. Fuel price went up 10 cents on the national average. I can tell you that I did not see that down here in the Southeast. My price at the place I've been fueling at all week, at this QT down on exit 18 on I-75 in Georgia, it's been the same price all week, $376.9. But whatever. So apparently the price went up 10 cents. West Coast pad 5 went down 6 cents, which is a little shocking to me. But I guess that's 2 weeks in a row they've gone down. I don't want to look further back than that, but yeah.
So did we drop a penny on the West Coast deal then?
On the West Coast, we dropped from 17 to 14.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, okay. Here, that's scrolling across the bottom now. So that brings Swift's fuel surcharge on the standard OTR van rate 0.55, and the West Coast has dropped to 14 from 17. So yeah, that's a thing this week. That disparity dropped from like $1.08 down to, I think it was like 94 cents or 95 cents, something like that. So I mean, it was a whole thing. But yeah, so if you guys are out there running the markets, the other markets and stuff like that boards, you should be paying attention to this stuff, because these fuel prices, man, there's something else sometimes. And you can use this as a negotiating tool. Just saying, if you're not, I feel like you're missing an opportunity.
Yep.
And yeah, you should do better. I'm just going to throw it out there. Probably didn't sound nice that way, but whatever. Want to fight about it? Jeff's ready to fight. See him? Look, he's all riled up. Look at him. That's his war face.
Show me your war face.
Grrr! Kill! I always laugh when they told me that too. It's funny. Oh, let's see. Love a shiny revolver. Hey, okay. You know, you can't go wrong with a revolver.
Yeah.
Oh, my phone's freaking out. Someone from Delaware is calling me. I don't even know who that was. That was weird.
I don't know anybody from Delaware. Do people actually live
Does
there?
anybody? Yeah, I was gonna say, does anyone live there?
Wasn't that thing in the Wayne's World movie when they were doing that big screen thing and they were going all over the place, and they get to Delaware and they're like, "Oh, we're in Delaware."
Right?
Like, what do you do there?
You know, that's kind of a legitimate statement. Lots of protests starting around the nation. Be prepared. I think you should always be aware of things like that. I'm not advocating for carrying a firearm just because of protests. I advocate carrying a firearm because it's your right, and you should do so because you're smart about it. Trained, following the law, carrying it where you can. Wait, which one did you go to? She said, I went and got my 3.79 at the QT. It was 3.76 yesterday. Just saying. On my way home. But
Yeah, this is the
first
first
3.79 up the road.
This is the first time in a while that the QT did not beat ESA in the Dallas area when I was up there yesterday. QT was sitting at 398 and I paid 371 at the Petro. So
right. Hey, that's
that's a thing for me. Yeah.
Tom Bell, if your truck is surrounded, remember your dash cam is best evidence, and we sure can't not forget Reginald Denny. Ain't that the truth? You know, I was in basic training at the time. Well, actually, I had graduated AIT, but I was a holdover for 4.5 months. So I was actually still in Fort McClellan. And I'm like, I need to go home. And they're like, you are not leaving Fort McClellan, man. Because like all that crap was going on like blocks from my house. It was crazy. And I was like, send me. I got some fresh training to put to use. Is that wrong? I'm just saying, man, it was crazy.
And that just solidified your house arrest.
It did. Like, they were like, bro, you can't even leave post. They like told me that for like a week. They're like, you can't even leave post. You are not allowed to leave post, let alone get on a plane. I'm like, but they're like, no. I'm like, dang it, man. That was crazy. Excuse me. So what are y'all up to, man? Sorry. Squirrels. I'm dumb. I'm slow. I follow. Coach said I always look at the pump price that was paid by the previous driver. It's less than my pump price. I'll ask the driver what he's using for his fuel discount. So that's an interesting thing because I've never actually noticed that personally. Like with the ES card, the pump will say the full pump price, and they don't even know what we're paying. I get an invoice from the ES Advantage folks that says what I actually paid. And I use that receipt as my receipt for filing stuffs. Does that make sense? I don't know if I said that right. So I've never noticed someone else paying something different other than cash or credit price at the pump.
Yeah.
And if I'm paying with the com data, we get the cash price at the pump, which is weird, but okay. Tim said, yeah, but if you're not allowed to carry in your truck, you risk getting terminated if you were to use it. I'd hope not, but they could.
Okay, Charlie. The gates are open.
All right. So if you are a contractor and you are currently contracted to Swift Transportation, I can assure you that you are absolutely allowed to carry in your truck, provided you follow each state's laws and you are permitted and licensed appropriately. I would recommend that you go out and find an association like USCCA, who will give you lots of training and lots of help. And for I believe, a price that's worth it, will give you insurance for in the event that you do find yourself needing to defend yourself against someone with any weapon. They will provide you with legal counsel for criminal and civil defense, and they will send someone to you in any state you are in at the time it goes down. They will come bail you out of jail if you have bail. I'm just saying. And you know what? But it does require you to actually be an adult and understand the laws. You need to understand the laws better than law enforcement in those jurisdictions you are traveling to and through. Because when it comes down to it, if you don't know it, I promise you, you cannot articulate it to them. And there is no question you are probably going to get locked up by some jackass that doesn't understand why he's locking you up. And you know what? Because he was working under an assumption, under the color of law, there's no recourse for you. You're going to be out time and all this other crap. And there's literally no legal recourse for you because he believed what he believed. And even though he was wrong, you will not win that in court.
Right.
It's weird because of what's that called? What's the term? I can't think of it. But they have like a magical protection shield around them while doing law enforcement stuff. And I'm like, whatever, man. Yeah. So yeah, I love talking guns, you guys. I'm just saying, whatever. I'm sorry, I missed stuff. The pump price will restart when you activate the pump, but always notice what the last driver paid. I've always look at it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I've never seen it.
What do we got?
Sometimes the pump will show the cash price, but that's the only discount that I see. Sorry, James trying to cross the border right now. Victor, what's up, buddy? Victor said, "What border, James? I know some coyotes that'll get you across." I love our people. I'm just saying. Oh Lord. Wait, Tom Bell said, "Here's a valuable tidbit of information. Did you know that factory dometic? That's a weird word. Someone give me a definition.
It's the refrigerator, dude.
Whatever, dometic. I don't know that word.
You read the next word, and it gives you a clue.
Well, I get that. But what does dometic mean?
Shoot.
I'm gonna have to go look up.
It's a company name.
Oh, the factory dometic refrigerator in many trucks can also be a freezer. Press the button to the highest setting. Hold button 9 seconds. Wow.
Yep.
Okay.
I actually did know that, but I also like to have a refrigerator.
Oh, look at the hair. And he's got the glasses. Yes, sir. Look, he's showing up like like on my wall. Wait. This is going to be great because it's just like you can see on my wall behind me. There he is. Wait, I got to get rid of myself here just so people can see the wall. Wait.
Oh, damn. The wall.
If I'm not on screen, my bad. Dang it.
The chair doesn't work anymore because Best is live right now. So he ain't.
There it is. Look. He's in the top corner of my screen there, and then he's in the top corner of my screen there. Oh my God. It's like my wall of awesome has narc in it, and then he's on my screen for real. I don't even know what to do right now. What's up, Mike?
Nothing. What's going on? What kind of fridge are you buying there, Jeff?
What kind of fridge?
Yeah, did you say you're buying fridges now?
No, we were talking about it. Someone talked about how they
turn
your fridge into a freezer, and I'm like, what?
Oh, yeah. Lord. I don't know about all that.
Apparently, these factory ones will do that. So if anyone's got maintenance or issues with their truck, by all means, get those questions out. And otherwise, we'll just sit here and BS with Mike and Jeff and myself and you guys in the audience, and we'll run this thing. We got Mike for 30 minutes. Is that what we got?
Nah, I mean, just whenever, right?
Look, you want to fight? We
I
can
probably
fight, man.
owe you-
Screw it. Oh wait, this is not your
Oh,
channel.
come
Ben.
on, man.
I was just say I probably owe some people some time in here, no matter what.
What?
So.
Dude, we
Yeah,
had a
sorry,
conversation.
I'm
in
running
the-
late as usual, right? Like I just got home a little while ago and ran in the house and
right?
grabbed a set of
So,
glasses.
For people who don't know about you here in our little world, tell us a little bit about yourself, Mike.
Well, what do you want to know? I mean, you want to know about the YouTube stuff, or you want to know
No,
about?
no. We've talked briefly about the YouTube stuff. It's a different world, and
Yeah.
if you want to go check out Mike's stuff, he's got 2 channels. I actually forgot to put the NARC channel in the description, but I do have the
Oh,
Mike
you
Mechanic
did not.
007 one in the description.
We're operating. We have to operate on 2 channels, right? We've been operating on the Mike Mechanic
Right.
channel because this one's close to getting struck down. So
Right.
copyright strikes and messing with people a little bit too much. So you have to cool one in there because it's a 90-day turnover, right? So you got to
Right.
bring one up. So, anyways, let's see.
Let's
so
talk about your professional life.
yeah, to graduate high school right in '99, went straight to Diesel College or Diesel Tech in Nashville, Tennessee, which is now owned. At the time, it was just Nashville Auto Diesel. Is like a what do you want to call it? It was solely solely owned, right? It wasn't Lincoln Tech or UTI affiliated.
Right.
Now it's owned by Lincoln Tech. So it's part. I think it's called Lincoln Tech of Nashville. I think
Right.
We'll give a name. But went there immediately. From there, I hired on with working offshore on oil rigs in Louisiana. Right, I'm from Indiana. I'm in Indiana now, but went to Louisiana straight out of school. Worked on oil rigs for about 8 years, doing power generation, mainly just big V16 engines, anything kind of generated that ran
crazy
light
work.
generators. Yeah, and then we did they have those rigs have all kinds of huge engines on them, right? So they'll run mud pumps and drill pumps and concrete pumps for all the drilling stuff. So just a little bit of everything, but I mean, my focus was power generation. Caterpillar 185, they were T185s, I think back then, or C185s, I think that's what they are still. But like
Right.
big V15, V24s, some Detroit 2-stroke stuff that was pretty much phased out. But older rigs had 6 V92s that were stacked, in line and welded together. So they were like V12s. So I don't even know what they're called. I think they called them V92s or something. But then the current, when I got done doing that, I stayed in Louisiana for about another 5 years and just had a pool. I shared a pool company with a guy, and I just did all their maintenance, right? Bobcats, because it was light stuff, 5-ton,
Right.
2-ton dump trucks, big F750s, and then Bobcats, just light stuff, right? Help them, and then when I moved back to Indiana, then we just went back to doing general maintenance. I worked on trucks first when I came back, or I worked for OmniSource, which is owned by. Oh my God, I'm having a brain fart. What's the biggest steel company in the United States?
Let's say Acme because it sounds like fun.
It's not Acme. It's not Nucor. It's the other one. Why can't I think of their name right now?
Because you're broken.
Yep, I'm broken. But so OmniSource is owned by them, and they do haul the shred. So we had 6 or 7 tractors with end dumps, and then a bunch of roll-offs and big equipment, right? Like excavators and shredders and.
Right.
Worked on that for 5 or 6 years. Then worked on trash trucks for a little while. Most recently was working for SRM Ready Mix for the last 6 or 7 years, and now we're at night, right, doing it big for the big brother company. Right. Doing it big.
That was a funny one when that was revealed because so many people are like, "What the hell?"
Yeah,
Wait,
because anybody
where is he?
My dealings on the other side is right. Those people.
Oh my gosh! Right? It's
So.
hilarious, man. And people were just like, "What? What did he say?" And I just thought it was great, man, because I kind of found out a little beforehand, and I was like, "That's just funny to me." So, well, let's jump into this. So, Jump in the Hood said, "What's the best and worst commercial engine to drive and drivetrain requiring the least maintenance?" Can you really answer that?
That's so that right there. Here we go. So a lot of that stuff is a blanket. You know, I would call it a blank. You know, you can throw a blanket over all of them. I mean, if you're going to ask me personally, I'm going to tell you, I would never buy a pack car. But what I hear now is, you know, the A26s, right? The international A26s with a pack car in them get the best fuel mileage out there because they're the lightest, with the lightest powertrain. But I mean, 5 years ago, I don't think you could get through 100,000 miles with a set of injectors in a pack car.
Right.
And not to even mention when it started with an after treatment system. Right?
Oh man, that after treatment system was like the biggest dumpster fire on the planet.
Yep. Go get your little diamond. What is it? Your little Max Force diamond.
Right.
That fun.
Oh my God.
But I mean, pretty basic, right? Cummins or Detroit's. I mean, that's going to be your choice. I mean, look, I like Volvos personally. I mean,
they've done a lot of work on their most recent stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, so as per Swift, right? I assume it's kind of the same because we don't see, you know, we're a night yard, but obviously we have Swift trailers that come in and out. But I mean, our most popular trucks are the most we have is Internationals, all with Cummins, right? Everything's Cummins.
Right.
That's the biggest truck or the most we have. Then it drops down to Freightliner. Well, you know, it's probably LTs, Volvo, Freightliners. That's probably actually how it sits if you put the numbers out there. I would say the least problems we have is with the Volvos. You know, the Freightliners are hit or miss because we all know it's a freight shaker, and maybe it's not the powertrain as much as it is all the shit that goes around, you know, with the powertrain. I mean, with the Freightliner itself.
Right.
You know, the Detroit's pretty solid, but I can give you stories of many people that have had issues with Detroit's just as much as Cummins, right? Cummins will fight you all day long too. So,
I actually asked the Swift guys about it, and they from the Swift head shop guys, right? And what I got out of them was fewer major problems with the Freightliner Detroit drivetrain, you know, because it's front to back. You know, the engineers went in and engineered the whole thing front to back for the whole drivetrain together, like the same engineer group, right? So that they actually built stuff to work together with each other, right? Which is kind of a good thing. But there's a lot of other things that are happening, not necessarily with the engine or the drivetrain, is what I'm seeing, and it's all this weird crap.
Lots of, you know, your upper radars and your lower radars, and
my God.
You know, I mean, those come with the manufacturer of the truck, right? So, you know, I mean, Freightliners are the world's worst, I feel like, for having your upper windshield radar, you know, that's seeing the bridges and seeing a hawk, you know, flying over and you know, dropping the brakes down on you and throwing codes.
It's so much fun.
And your lower radar is not working right now, needs a VCAD update, and so you don't have cruise control because of that.
Right.
And of course, no one has the update available, so you can't get it done anyway. So you just, you
Good
know,
luck.
but that's not really an engine, right, or a powertrain issue. That's a bending problem on a Freightliner. But Volvo has that too. You know, Kenworth. I guess I left Kenworth completely out, but they're the lowest on night side is the Kenworth.
Right.
But
they have their own world of issues. I mean, like all of the body panels are just falling off of them on a regular basis.
The new
like
Gen,
crazy, man.
Yeah, the Gen 4 Kenworths are. I mean, they're pretty junky. I'm gonna be honest. We've had, I mean, just in general, especially if you're buying one for yourself and you're going to be doing the maintenance, even though I know it's a warranty, is a lot of the stuff, even when you step inside the body panels. We had a brand new one. I do all the new truck setup, inverter installs, camera installs, you know, all the stuff we do to them to get a driver in them. And, you know, pull one in the bay. It's got a crack in a weld in the air tanks, obviously underneath the steps on the driver's side. Well, now the tanks are all molded as one piece. You know, you can't buy just one tank. The bracket's all part of the battery box. So in order to, you know, just to do a tank, you know, you're looking at 3 or 4 hours worth of labor. And then you've got, I mean, it should be a warranty item, right? But you're getting 3 tanks. So if it's out of warranty, you're buying 3 air tanks and you know, so to do batteries on a brand new Gen 4 Kenworth, you can't take the lower step fairing off. It's you take like your top step off and you pull the batteries out that way, which is the way they used to do crate liners. The Evolutions, right, had a little battery tray that, you know, just big enough to get a battery out. So no longer are batteries an hour install at a truck, you know, at a TA or a Love's. You're now looking at a couple hours or maybe 3 hours because of just the time to get the batteries in and out. If you're lucky, so now your batteries that were going to cost you $800 are now going to cost you $1,200 or $1,400 because they're going to throw a bunch of labor on there and tell you, well, you know, what do you want me to do? It takes this long, you know, an hour back, stupidly.
Right.
So
let's see. I got a bunch of questions that I'm pulling up here. Hey, what's up, Daycap? Sorry. Tom Bell said, hey, you probably shouldn't answer this. Mike, if I come through Indiana and know the code to access the truck, settings? You shouldn't answer that. Just saying. Jonah says, I have a 2018 Kenworth that it has a slow takeoff. What could that be?
Slow takeoff. I mean, I assume he means from a dead stop, obviously.
Right.
I assume he also means when he's loaded. This is, and I'm not knocking you or anything else. This is why these formats are hard, right?
I know.
So we're just going to assume he means
man.
loaded. He means from a dead stop. Assuming he's rocking an automatic. So, I mean, the first thing you want to look at is something with the turbo, right? Because now turbos have speed sensors and load sensors. So, I mean, you could have, and a lot of times that stuff's not going to throw a code if it's not technically failing by the way the ECM reads it. So maybe, you know, the VC, the variable speed, or the VS, the VS box, maybe it's not correcting, you know, when you take off from a stoplight, from a dead stop, a low RPM, and it's not allowing the turbo to spool up right away, and it's taking it a couple seconds for it to do a react. I was just watching a thing because he's gonna 2018, he's gonna be a newer X15 on the old ISX, right? Older, before the X series actually came out, right before they started pulling, is the God damn it, man! I'm sorry. I had a long day today, and I should.
You're good, man.
Is the EGR, all the EGR housings? Guys watching guys on YouTube clean them, and of course they're you know, the holes on them are, you know, size of a quarter instead of the size of you know, the bottom of a Coke can.
Right.
And that causes fuel loss, right? That causes bad takeoff speed. It causes issues on downhills because it affects your jakes, right? If you're trying to jake down a hill, because it's not allowing the flow. It doesn't allow the exhaust to, you know, flow and help the engine slow down. Because, I mean, a lot now on newer trucks, if you watch, if you're somebody that's been around for a minute, is when you used to, you know, hit your jakes and, you know, go down, whatever it is, you know, fancy gap or, you know, is your turbo wouldn't really spool up at all. You know, it would just kind of be at, you know, per se an idle. Obviously you're off idle. Now you see turbos really pulling some boost numbers, some boost PSIs, because that's the variable speed. You know, the vanes in there are actually, you know, opening up to allow the jakes to do their job better. You know, so, I mean, that would be our first starting point, right? Because
Jonah, I would actually ask, has it always been this way, or is this like a new development? Because it could be the ECM just settings to start with. If it's in like this eco super, oh my God, fuel mileage thing, then you're hosed from the get-go because there's nothing you can do about it, especially in the loose truck.
Bruce was actually talking about this on the Power Hour a couple of weeks ago.
Right.
And on some of them, not all, they can change a setting to fix that.
Right.
There's a fuel mileage setting that on purpose, when it's in the lower end, it hesitates on purpose to save on fuel.
Just
so that you're not jamming on the pedal. But if that's not acceptable to you, they can change that.
Mash it to the floor.
That's right.
Eat them tires up.
I mean, you know, you could go as far as it's a 2018, so it's probably time for an overhead. Have you had an overhead on it or had it checked? Right. You could have a little bit of timing out on an injector, right? You could have some
one of those things that we know that people don't do.
Right.
Sadly, yes, that's a thing that gets missed a lot. And I mean, one thing that I'll tell everybody that's watching, and you know, the guys that the main that are buying used trucks and stuff is the dyno. A dyno is like, I believe in a dyno, right? For whether you're buying a truck or you just have a question about your truck, you take it to a dealer and they're not answering your questions. Dynos are not expensive. Booking them may be kind of a headache. Finding one, I mean, usually finding one's not a.
They will tell you a lot of information.
But yeah, because if you're having that speed that they put on the dyno, you may not see it in ECM. You may not see it when they sit down with a laptop at all. You probably won't see it.
I mean, there's only like 192,000 settings in an ECM these days.
Exactly.
So I mean,
they can watch, they can watch a torque rate and watch, a horsepower ramp up and say, oh, well, yeah, you have an issue right here until you hit 1,300, or hold 1,300 RPMs.
Could be an ECM setting where they just simply delay the throttle response from the pedal to the body, and you're like,
okay. I mean, you could have a fuel, you could have dirty fuel filters, right? A little bit of clog in a fuel filter. And while the engine's coming off idle, it's not pulling enough fuel. It's enough to keep the engine. You're not really noticing anything, but until it starts really, sucking and moving some fuel through it, it's low power. And you're not feeling a miss. Notice a miss. They make different microns on fuel filters. So if you're having a truck that has trouble lugging at the beginning, right, you could get a bigger micron filter, which will let more fuel through, but it'll still be safe for the engine or still be safe for for the truck itself, right?
So wait, Tim said here, I wish I could change the clock on the dash of my 2020 Cascadia. I hate that it's 6 minutes fast and gradually getting worse. Isn't that that's in the setting?
Thing. Here's an interesting thing though. Mine changes every time I have something major done to the truck.
Really?
Anytime they mess with the ECM, it changes.
Really?
And I just gave up. I gave up.
I mean, I say that's funny, but I can tell you that right now, now we're into, and I think it's been this way for a couple of years now, but now we're into where ECMs and talking dashes, digital everything is getting updates from Detroit and from wherever, from Cummings, just while you're driving the truck down the road and you don't even know it. And obviously if you're driving for Swift or Knight or a big mega that doesn't allow, locks down a lot of stuff in your, your dash that are on your screen there. Yep. One big thing that's going on with Detroit's right now is it's called the ACM module, which is the after treatment control module. Right. When you go to the engine, the little engine icon on your dash, you can see that's one of the modules in there. You can't do anything with it. It doesn't really even tell you, but what it does or what it's there for, because they have it locked down, but it measures soot levels and ash levels and ash load levels. And for whatever reason, they downloaded a new update that throws an immediate code because there's a filter for that, for those. And the filter is like a 250,000 mile filter, after treatment filter. It's kind of when you're supposed to change the main, all big box. But anyways, but it's telling them all that they're failing. And all it is you go in there and tell it that it got a brand new filter on it, right? It's a 124 code. Right. Number you put in the last three of the part number of the new filters, 124. You put it in there, laptop, and boom. But like half the trucks are getting it. And it's just because it came from Detroit, right? It came from Detroit, and some trucks got it while it's on the road. Some of them didn't. Some of them accepted it. Some of them didn't. And that's happening to a lot of other stuff too, right? Packard, Cummins, Volvo's doing the same thing.
Let's see. I got more stuff started. Short said people were boycotting shops over this guy. True story. Like there was people like straight up that would not go to shops because they thought he might be there. And that by itself was hilarious to me.
Well, I mean, good on him because
I loved how they tried to get you fired from so many places.
I'm busy 24/7, so if you ain't coming in because you don't like what I say on YouTube, then good on you, because I'm gonna promise you right now, the next shop down the road is probably way better. So take it right down there and let
I mean, good God. Smoke is being helpful. He said, what's the best wooden box to put on the dash of a Ford Explorer?
Oh, here we go. So,
see,
making fun of my grill Jeep, my wooden box that I built. So
I dig smoke. Smoke's fun.
I'll tell you, smoke. Anytime you want to come down to Indianapolis, right? I've got a wooden box that I'll put your face into, right? So we'll go that route.
Mike O said new here. Mike sent me. Just saying.
What's up, Ken? Good to see you, bud. There's a lot. I sent links out, right? So there's gonna be.
Oh, I dig it, man.
Nice.
Look, you know what's funny is I sit there in your other channels, and I talk as myself, as Charlie Man, not as Contractor's Corner, because I get to have a life outside of what I do in this world, and all that stuff.
Shut up. No, you don't. I told you don't.
You shut your mouth, sir. You're gonna make me say words because I got Mike here, and he's a bad influence, and he's a terrible person. He'll make me say bad words, and then your wife will look at me and she'll be like, Charlie, and I'll be like, dang it, she's right again. But whatever. Tim said, I think a lot of it determines how well you take care of it. Are you doing PMs when required, etc.? I can't knock that.
100%. I mean, that's one thing is I get it, right? Because I see it at night, right? I see it every freaking day, 24/7. 90% of the trucks that come in is they probably hadn't lifted the hood since the last time they rode through one of our inspections,
right?
Which who knows when that was? Maybe it was the last time a PM was due,
right?
Or they were forced into the yard. But you know that I'm not a big component of you going out and putting your air gauge on all 10 tires every day. I'm not a big component of. I agree. I definitely.
I'm less tires.
Yeah,
I fondle them.
If you're just as long as you're lifting the hood and putting your eyes on everything is, and we talked about this. I was on Coach's show a couple weeks ago. And we talked about this. It's not so much that you know what's going on, right? Oh, I don't know what that is, and I don't know what that is, and I don't know what that hose does. I know this is a tire, and I know this is where I put the coolant at, right? But if you're opening the hood every day, every morning, and hopefully twice, maybe at the end of the night,
right?
Also, is you may not notice, especially in these, you're in a newer truck, you may not notice anything. You're like, it never needs oil, it never needs coolant, it never needs any of this stuff. But the day that you pull the oil, the dipstick, and it's not the same that it was for the last 6 months, you're ahead on the system right there. Because if you just open the hood the first time in 6 months, right, and we're exaggerating, a month, okay, in a month,
right,
and the oil's down a quarter of an inch on a 1 inch long hash mark, say, oh, it's in the hash marks, right? We're good, man.
Right.
Because maybe you don't remember what it was a month ago. There's a lot of things going on, so you don't even know that it's consumed oil, or somewhere there's a small leak, or it's blew it all. It's blow by. You don't know. But if you're looking, it's the same way with hoses or anything. It's like, oh my gosh, I didn't. That hose used to be blue, right?
Right.
Now it's got like black marks on it, and it looks like it has a line in it. Oh, that's not good. That wasn't there last week,
right? Or yesterday.
I mean, that's the whole thing. Is just seeing. If you're thumping tires, right? Anybody that tells me that they can walk around and take their little aluminum bat and hit a tire and say I got good air pressure,
right?
No way. But
I challenge those guys. I'm like, hey, so your tires are good. What's the differential between each tire on pressure?
Yep. But if they're good, if they're where they need to be, if you do it enough, you do it 2 weeks in a row and you thump them every time you're, every day or twice a day when they're hot and when they're cold, the sound. And then you thump one day and it doesn't sound right. Well, maybe you don't know what
instead of dung, you get dunk.
Yeah, immediately. I mean, the amount of people that come in with the inside flat tire is amazing. On trailers too, right? Trailers too. It's like it amazes me that there's not more blowouts on the road than there are because of that. And they're like, if you were just thumping tires, you would know that even if it was low a little bit, right? It doesn't have to be flat. You just would know. And it's the same thing, like I said, with anything else. Your fifth wheel, it doesn't matter. Your airlines, the airline doesn't usually lay down like, it doesn't. That's not where that's not how it lays on the trailer. So, when it's hooked up. So maybe it's got kinked somehow. Something got hooked in it. Maybe I should address that.
Pre and post trips or something else that people they're just like, I pre-trip, I post-trip, I'm good. But I like climb around my truck throughout the day, right? Like I'm fueling up, I'm bored, and because I'm almost ADD myself. I need to go find things to do while I stand there. So I start climbing underneath. I'm like, oh, look at that. That looks weird on that trailer. Maybe I should get that looked at. Or hey, I didn't see that yesterday underneath my truck. Why is that there now? And people are like, what? How did you even notice that? I'm like, because I noticed. I looked at my truck. I don't know.
Especially with with the time of year that's coming, right? Yeah, I mean, you're running through snow or just slushy, shitty fucking roads, right? And
right.
So you may not. I mean, the roads are cleared. You may not see everything, that you're running over, and if it's hanging out down on the axle, somewhere, it may not cause any damage whatsoever, ever, but it's there and it could. Also the DOT officer could see it, and they could I mean, it's one of those things, that it's know your truck, right? I mean, we call it in the NFG ... right?
Right.
We call it truck, right? Truck. That's kind of the basic is, right? It's not about knowing the air pressure. It's not about knowing what kind of wipers that go up on the windshield. It's not knowing what kind of oil that actually goes inside the engine, right? I mean, that's awesome if you know all that stuff, but it's just knowing that hey, something doesn't look right, so it's time to address that. And if you're an owner op, right, or leasing a truck, it's way better to know it ahead of time, right, before you're calling for a hook, or you're sitting in the Loves where they're telling you, oh yeah, no, the 3 guys that are standing back here on their phone, they're in the training, they're doing the internship, and I'm the only guy, and by the way, I'm getting ready to go on lunch when I get back. I got 6 other guys. So
yeah. But that's why we tell people all the time, well, I used to all the time. I haven't done it in a while, but guys should be out there lubing their truck, greasing up the zerts and hitting them and making sure that you're actually putting grease. And there's 2 things that happen with that. One, you keep your all those grease components well lubricated, right? And they don't wear out because there's lots of plastic. Well, not, I guess urethane is the thing, not plastic. But if that stuff doesn't stay greased right, then it starts grinding on the urethane. Those parts start falling apart. But in the act of crawling and sliding around underneath your truck, you start noticing things, right? You start seeing, oh, that line is different than it was the last 2 times. It's not hanging the right way, or you find air leaks, man. Because look, with my old Freightliner, I would find air every time I got in my truck. I'd find another air leak because you could hear it. You're there and you're looking around, you're poking at stuff, and you're like, wow, that sucks. And good Lord,
we just had a guy we were talking to this week, and every time I go home, I live in a nice quiet neighborhood and I can actually get my truck to my house. I charge the air system up, turn everything off in that nice quiet neighborhood, and start crawling around my truck with a squirt bottle.
Right.
Hey, I don't know how far behind you are, but okay, so Tim the trucker, a Saburn, and actually he has 3 or 4, but the one I'm reading is about his alignment. That's another huge one. I don't know. It's in between the midlife trucker one, but it doesn't matter. He probably has a bunch of other good ones there. But alignment stuff like that is it's super important, especially if it's the same thing. If you're going through steer tires, you're going through drive tires, you got weird, your tire, your drives have little, they're not flat. It's not that's not always an air pressure thing, right? And it does not take very much for a 3-axle to be out a 1/16 of an inch.
Right.
And from the factory, these trucks don't come aligned, and that sucks, but they don't.
They're within tolerances.
Yeah, there you go. They're in tolerances. They, when they bring them in tonight, they put them on one of those dead man hooks, right? And God knows what that guy backed into or ran through the parking lot on with all the weight on the steer axle there. The same way if they're towing them, they're piggybacking them in, and you got the back drives in there. Oh, of course they pulled axles, right? Of course they pulled axles. Of course they didn't back that rear axle into something.
Right. Because they would never do that.
No,
but no, I mean, look, a solid 3-axle alignment. We recommend MD alignment because I just like the way that they work, and they it's not the lift it up, jack it up, set it down on a platform, because as soon as you drive down the road, now everything's completely different than when they jacked it up and put it on the platform. So they do an as driven alignment. They drive it in and align it right there on the floor.
Yep.
That to me is gold.
Yep. And there's a ton of companies. Obviously, it's not going to be as cheap, right? But there's a ton of guys that go around. I have a buddy that works in Lafayette, 60 miles north of Indy, off 65. Go Boilers, right? Purdue up. But that's all he does. He used to have a shop. He's like me, grew up on a farm, always worked on equipment. Had a shop for 20 years and bought a truck and a 20-foot enclosed trailer that a guy did laser alignments. He bought it to put somebody in it to just go around, locally. And he closed his shop down because he's so busy. And he'll go to, like say Pepsi or Target or where they got a bunch of day cabs or whatever. And, and he does other stuff too, do oil changes. But his bread and butter is this laser alignment. It takes him 2 hours if he can, if the truck can just be aligned, right? You don't have to go get parts and this, that, and the other.
Right.
And I mean, I don't think he puts his laser on anything that
it's like $300 a pop. Yeah. It's gold. I was actually going to set a little MD alignment business up where that's all I was going to do was mobile work, man. Go out to all these big terminals and places. And I'm like, it's gold. And then my area got a little saturated. I'm like, never mind. I don't want to do it.
We even have one of those guys out in my little town of Tooele.
Yeah.
He'll come right to your house, or if you don't, the church parking lot, whatever.
Right.
He'll meet you there. It's $220.
Yeah. The other thing Tim said was the air pressure thing. So on the sidewalls of tires, it tells what they recommend for tire pressure, and it's 120. And he hit it right there. A lot of night, I assume Swiss the same way. I don't really know. Night runs 110 and 120. That's what
105.
Goodyear, Bridgestone, Michelin. That's what their engineers, their smart guys said. Hey, at cold temperatures, 120 is what this tire. Now, of course, you're going to get into if you're running recaps, right? That you're not running, but that when they recap a tire, they're supposed to put it back to factory specs. Now we all know, right? Oh yeah, of course they do. But is still 120 is the number. I mean, unless it's stamped different, and if you're putting it anything but that, in my mind, you're underinflating it. And I know people will argue that, especially like the megas, right? They say, oh no, we have 5 million trucks and we run 110, we have no problems. Well, you do have problems because you have trucks that blow tires all the time. Now I'm not saying it can be that much different, but it's kind of like, Volvo recommends oil changes. Well, at this many miles, well, you honor that one. So what's the difference between a Volvo engineer and a Bridgestone engineer? I mean, really, in reality, what is it?
So I can tell you that from the years I've been doing this crap, and because I'm such a tire nut, right? I have played with tire pressures over the life of tires, not just over a week or two or a month even, but I will play with the life of the tire, right? So with this new Freightliner I got, it came to me at 110 on the steers, right? And that already just so what I did is I actually went to 115. And I've been running at 115. I'm right around 178, 180,000 miles. I did not rotate the tires. I should have, and I absolutely should have, but I wanted to see what was going to happen. And then I just got lazy and I was like, well, I better rotate these things. And then I didn't. So whatever. But I can tell you now that I need steers right at 180. And I should have got about 250 out of them. And I think part of and I didn't used to rotate my steers before either. So I'm not going to say it's just the not rotating thing, but I could have got more life out of them by rotating them. But I personally believe, and I almost always run the Michelin steer tires, that it was the air pressure difference. I used to run 120. And I've been running 115 for the life of these tires. And I have that crazy right tire where the right tire is always a problem to start with. And that's why we should be rotating them, but whatever. But that right tire wear over the last 3 weeks has gotten completely batshit on me. Completely. Luckily, I have a brand new set of Michelins waiting for me in the Swift system. So whatever. I mean, you know what I mean? Hey, that's what happens when you actually show up to some of these events and win their contests. I'm just saying. Just gonna throw it out there.
I'll tell you another thing with tires, especially with the rotate. Now the drives, I don't know, it's a little excessive. But on steers, if you can take it to a tire shop that will actually mount or will dismount and remount and flip them on top of rotating, flip them inside out, so you get that, you get that edge back, right? And so it's a true tire rotation,
right?
And again, that costs a little bit more, but I mean, if you go to the right shop, it doesn't take any other time.
Right.
I mean, mount and dismount a tire in about 15 minutes. right?
Right.
It takes me longer to put air in than it does to do any of the other stuff. While we're doing one, we got the other one going, right?
See, I think what I'm going to do with the next set is, because I'm coming up on that 200 mark, but so I need another service then, going by the warranty crap. Anyhow, so I think what I'm going to start doing with this next set is I'm going to rotate every 50,000.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to rotate first, just swap, and then I'm going to dismount and remount on the next one,
Yep.
and then do the swap again. And I believe that I'm going to get probably 250 out of those steers, provided, barring any sort of catastrophic, oh my God, I hit something in the road.
Yeah, no,
Type of failure. You know what I mean?
Shocks are a big deal.
Right.
A lot of people don't think about shocks. Shocks are junk. And I don't care if you're buying Monroe, Sensatrax, or you're buying, the PACCAR, PACCAR factory ones, Volvo, whatever. It doesn't matter. They're junk. If you're not changing your shocks at 100,000 miles or before, because one worn out shock will destroy everything else that's going on around it, which would be, one on a steer axle will destroy the other side because it's causing one side to move more.
Right.
Same way, of course, when you get to your drives, and they're not that expensive. It's not that labor intensive for, a shop to do them. If you, for guys that are somewhat mechanical, that's something you can do with the tires on. You can do it in your driveway. It's going to suck, but you can do it. It's not something where you have to jack the truck up and, get all crazy with it. Of course, bushings and stuff, but nowadays, if you're not hitting stuff, bushings, pins and stuff seize, but a lot of stuff doesn't go bad like it used to. It's not usually that. It's usually something really stupid and simple.
And a lot of times it's things you could have seen before it even happened.
Yep, exactly.
It's just crazy. Narcs, I'll put you out of service. Sir said, tire inflation can be affected by altitude, goes up with elevation. So I tell people, and it was because smart people told me that you should fill your tires in the dark, right? Because you want the coldest tire pressure you can get to start with, right? And you should try and fill them at sea level. The closer you get to sea level, the better the tire pressure you will actually have in the tire. And that came out of really smart Michelin people.
Yep. And
so I'm like, there you go.
And you're depending on time of year, right? If we're talking midsummer and you're running the mid, or not Midwest, but Southern West, obviously roads are hotter. But the reason you do it when you're cold, because your tires will heat up anywhere between 7 and 12 degrees. The air pressure will go up because of the tire temperature. And more, I'm sure it's more if you're, like I said, you're out running.
Oh, I've seen as much as like 15 degrees. Yeah, running across Texas and stuff.
So that's why like Knight and them do. I think they actually do it at the 110. I think that's their thought process, is because they're in a safe zone. When it heats up, it's kind of at the temperature where it needs to be. That way they don't have some guy out there that's like, oh, well, you know what? They said 120. Well, I'm going to do 130, right? I'm just going to do the 130. And then it's also, for all you that want to drop some dollars, right? They make TPMS sensors for trucks, and they're good. They're not, they're not cheap. I think it's about $400. I think they're about $50 a pop. So or maybe closer to 500. Maybe they're somewhere, but they do make them. They'll tell you a cute little laptop, right? Or you can download an app on your phone, and it'll let you know. You can see red lights all day long, right? Flashing on, on your phone, telling you got a low tire, right? This tire's 1 pound out. So, they do sell that stuff, and you don't have to do it for all tires. You can just do it for your steers, or do it for, it's something that can be done.
Wimpy McCoat said, man with a million excuses said, I once deadheaded 500 miles for a fuse. Bro, I can do you better than that.
Yep, I was going to say, I started that one just for you, Charlie, so you could tell your story.
So get this. I'm at the gate at the Target yard trying to leave. Turn the truck off to get my paperwork. Truck won't turn back on. Right. I was having ECM issues to start with already, and the truck won't turn back on. I'm like, oh crap, I'm blocking the gate. Now I'm like, luckily it was in Chewy. It was my, so I got a manual transmission. So I did that thing with a loaded trailer where I simply started turning the key with the truck in fourth gear and just chugga, and got my sorry self out of the way. Wrecker comes, hooks me up, charges me $700 to go less than 10 miles down the road to my little local Freightliner dude, right? Dumps me out at the gate because they're closed. It's dark. It's like midnight. And I spend the night there, and I get up in the morning, and they come out and they take the truck in. and $750 worth of diagnostics. Turns out I had an extra fuse in my ECM line that I did not know about. I checked all the fuses I knew about. There was one random little 20-cent fuse that I didn't know about, and it was stupid. And it cost me $1,450 for a 20-cent fuse. And I was a little salty, man. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah, and I know once again it's I get it because you got to pull fairings. On the older Kenworths,
Right.
the Gen 3s, you can't get to the batteries unless you pull that whole fairing off. Right, 6 bolts. You got on all the 3 in each step. There's a little access panel on an LT International, but it's not much. Right, it's just enough to get your arm in and get it hung up. Obviously Volvos and Freightliners, you can drop the sides down. Or whatever, pull the side off. But usually there's usually a fuse for an inverter, of course, if you got one there. But that's usually not an engine, truck won't start issue. But you usually have a mega fuse in there, at least one that's for ECM power, and then you usually have 2 or 3 little ones, and one of them, that are in there, and they hide them well. So they tuck them up underneath there and zip time. When they send them from the factory, I think the guy just takes handfuls of grease and throws on top of it, and then they hide everything underneath of it.
Wrap a little tape around it just so you really can't see it, and you're like, well, I probably shouldn't take that apart. Yeah, it was funny because like they told me, they're like, dude, we don't even understand why this fuse is there, but you totally have an extra fuse. Like, it's not something we expected ever to see. So we did all the troubleshooting and it wasn't working and we just couldn't find it. And then I'm like, man, that sucks. Tell you what, I've never had that problem again.
Yeah, exactly right. Bunk heat. Yeah, we're kind of past bunk heater fire up season, kind of, depending on where you're at, I guess. But bunk heaters, you haven't run them all winter. They collect all kinds of dust, debris and bunk heaters. Most bunk heaters that are fuel fired, at least, or they run off the tank, they don't have enough. Their little pump that runs is like if you've ever seen a pump on a small engine on a riding mower. It's just a little plastic wheel in there, and it usually does not have enough ass in it to pull fuel if there's an air bubble or something's got in that line, or the line's drained over the summer or whatever. Doesn't have enough ass to prime that system. And I mean, it's fairly easy to prime it. I mean, you just, start it up, but if it's something you can't do, it doesn't matter. A tech should be able to do it in 10 minutes. They should have, a little jump box already wired up for it, or a battery or something wired up for it. But again, if you do it at a Love's and you try to fire it up and it won't fire, I mean, it's $400 to get it. And that's that back to that maintenance and checking stuff kind of on a daily, even though you maybe don't use it or you don't need it. You can fire it up once a month in the summertime, even when it's 100 degrees out. I'm sure it's not fun, but you can do it. Right?
I'm going to call you out, Sean. No, you don't. Because, and I know what you're saying. You're saying because they're directional tires, and the directional setting on the tires is just for braking on those tires. Yes. So I'm going to say, no, you're wrong.
Yeah.
Sorry,
yeah. I mean, that's a true statement, because you're right. Is if you were to call Brigstone and ask them, hey, I want to do a mount dismount, but and do a flip on the tires. But if you flip the tires from side to side and then do a mount and dismount and flip them, the arrows are going to go the same way, right? Because the tire can go on 2 ways on depending on what side it's on. So you have to. But you're right. That's technically a break-in. That is all that is. And now, of course, you'll have to call somebody for them to tell you that, because they're gonna, that's a safety thing, right? They're not gonna say, oh no, you can put them in you want to. I mean, you go get a set of steers, throw a set of steers on drives, go look at how many drives are on trailers or wherever that are facing the wrong direction. Go look at that. So, especially at the megas, right? Because that's what we do at night. Our steers become our trailer tires. Our virgin steers that don't need recap become trailer that have enough tread on them.
Right.
Yes.
So Tim the trucker Saburn said, what shocks do you recommend? I replaced them at 100K and still bounce like crap in my Cascadia. I blame it on Swiss trailers for not being air right equipped. Do you have a recommendation for shocks? I mean, do you see one last more than others? I'm
gonna be honest, not really. Like I don't have a go-to brand. I would say Gabriel and Monroe, right, were always the most expensive. You get what you pay for. but Gabriel has always seemed to be. They've always been in the heavy duty shock market. You know,
Right.
I mean that was kind of their bread and butter. I mean, they came in the racing world before they were really popular in cars.
Right.
You know, automotive. And they're a little pricey. But yeah, I mean they all. I don't see very many shops that come through that we know that have 80 or 100,000 on them. That most of them are junk, right? Most of them are junk.
What do you think? For a while there was a big craze about those Road King shocks, and they were pretty expensive.
They were super expensive and rebuildable, and they could change all the. I mean,
yeah, those are the ones where you could change the stiffness settings, right? And you can do the variable. And honestly, I don't know a lot about them.
Right.
I mean,
I heard good things, but Jesus, they were expensive.
Well, the biggest selling point of them was you when you needed to replace them, you sent them back to the factory, and it was like $50 a shock to get new ones back.
Right.
Yeah.
Because they rebuilt them.
Yeah, and I honestly, that's probably a really good, awesome thing because they're gonna do that. The kind of the issue there to me is if when you send them back in, I mean, you send them two at a time. I guess you could, right?
They send you what they were doing was they were sending you a whole set, and then you had so much time to send the old ones back.
Oh, I got you. Okay. Well, that's awesome. Well,
but they were like, what was it, Trey? Like $1,200 a shock?
Yeah, they were
something
crazy.
like that.
Yeah,
like crazy. So, Feline Maximus, I have a science answer for you on this one.
Oh, there you go.
And because here's the science behind nitrogen versus air. So a nitrogen molecule is larger than a oxygen or air. Yeah, oxygen molecule. And the thought behind it is you put nitrogen in tires, and because rubber is porous and slowly will leak air over time, it is porous, and that the nitrogen doesn't escape the pores in the tires as quick, or I'm not sure if it's not possible at all because of the molecule size, or if it's just less. But there is a science thing behind that. If you look at the size of the molecules, when nitrogen is in its form and it's conglomerated, it is a larger deal than what oxygen is all by itself. Sorry, but I mean, there's people that will tell you, oh, it's all crap, and that's fine, whatever. I mean, I literally looked up the science one time because I was like, why are people putting nitrogen in tires? That seems like a pain in the ass.
Another one with tires is I just thought about it is balance bags or balance beads, Centromatics, right? You can have that fight all day long with people.
It's fun.
I think I probably heard it on here before, but I personally like throwing the beads in there. But
I love them.
People will tell you that the Centromatics, I can't even think of the name. What is it? Strata? Is it Strata something? The other brand that's like the Centromatic.
Yeah, I don't even know what it is.
Strata something, I think. But mainly because of ease. But then again, is depending on where you go, right? You never know if they put one in one side and they forgot to throw that one in, but the tire's already mounted. So hey,
So I can tell you my experience with the balance beads. I started using them when I had wide singles, and I actually had cupping in wide singles in the face of the wide single.
Right.
And they're like, oh, well, once that happens, they're garbage. It's over. And I actually had, after putting the beads in over 50-ish thousand miles, the cupping actually leveled out.
Yep.
Anecdotal, I can't say for sure, but I can say that after I put the beads in, the cupping went away. Typically, cupping doesn't go away. It typically gets worse over time. I think you can back me up on that. I mean, it just doesn't usually fix itself. So, Smoke's talking about they're seriously working on air size. That's like a big thing in that off-road commercial stuff. I mean, a lot of those tires, they're solid rubber, man.
Yep.
Or they have that crazy honeycomb deal.
Yeah, I was gonna say I just watched a demo video about with those honeycomb rims.
Right.
That take all of the make it like it's air, I guess. We need to get to Bear Hunter's question, by the way, because he's tried twice. And he's getting mad at us.
Yeah.
I starred him. Look at the stars.
I'm working on it. There's a lot, dude. There's a lot going on today. I'll throw it up there. Let's wait for Mike to come back. Sorry, going back through stuff. Uh,
So I'm interested in what Mike's going to say about Craig's thing with his air hose, radiator hose thing too.
all right.
Because here's my concern with that. What Volvo, like for ride and comfort and all that stuff, I've always really liked the Volvo. But when I
Right.
had the company Volvos, what the number one thing was, it took freaking months to get parts.
Right.
So he's back. So let's throw that one up real quick. So
Okay.
Craig says on his Volvo he's had only one problem in 99,000 miles. It was the radiator hose. So here's the thing, Mike. His radiator hose is on a 2-week back order.
Freaking hose.
That's always been the problem with Volvos, is that stupid supply line problem of theirs. Is that they're still having those problems then?
Oh yes, so we see a lot of surge tanks kind of across the board. Surge tanks, it was a Friday afternoon when they were they were press fitting them all together and they get seam leaks, and we're to the point where we're putting aftermarket ones in because we can't get them.
Right.
And of course we can do that because they're our trucks, even though it's a warranty thing and blah blah blah. But yes, and I'll tell you, and I know because this is Swift related, but I know you guys are lease guys, right? Is one of the biggest issues that I tell people about, the new truck game, and hey, all the new stuff that's out is the warranty issue on those new trucks. That is one of the, and I know, I'm sure you've all dealt with it. Probably half the people in the chat have dealt with it.
Right.
If they get new trucks, is you are locked in, to, if you have an issue, to that warranty, right? You cannot, and that can be a time killer if you've got to sit for 2 weeks, you're waiting on a radiator hose. Volvo is not going to pay you any kind of back pay or kitchen pay, right? And while it's nice, while you've got, for the 98,000 miles, you had no issues. But I mean, you take the good with the bad, right? I guess, it's kind of one of those deals. You buy a 450,000 mile truck that came from Knight as a fleet truck, and it just got the bare minimums fixed on it. And but it's low miles, but it's out of warranty. I mean, you take that for what it's worth, right? I'll be the first one to tell you that if you're looking at used fleet trucks, we do the bare minimum because it's a penny game, right?
It's what keeps them going for 450,000 miles.
Well, even on
are a negative, right? They're not a positive to them.
Well, I don't know if you're familiar, Mike, with our MRP program over at Swift, but they're turned in owner operator trucks and former fleet trucks.
Right.
And they have this weird extended warranty on them. But what we're finding is, what we're finding on them is just what you're saying. They've done the bare minimum on them for 450,000 miles.
Yep.
And so that's great. You're only paying 20% of the maintenance. But if they had actually maintained the trucks the way I've maintained mine, you wouldn't be paying anything.
And you can only go to the shops they tell you can go to with that, which I don't like at all, because that's just garbage.
It's kind of like anything. There's a really good and there's a really bad to it, but there's probably not a happy median period.
Right.
Unless you just luck into, like you said, buying a truck with 300,000 miles, so it's still got a little original warranty on it or factory warranty on it, and the guy that drove it for 300,000 and he kind of did he did the bare minimum, but he did the extras too, right? He did he ran full synthetic, and he put the bigger fuel filters on it, and he changed the fuel filters when winter came, and so it didn't gel up. Not that it's a big deal, but I mean it can seize run the lifespan of a fuel pump down because it it gelled up inside of there one time. It's not a big deal till it's $2,000 and down for 3 weeks, right? It's not
right. So Bear Hunters is Sean. Apparently I missed this question earlier. Sorry, Sean. 500,000 miles on his X15. What does he need to have done?
Recommendation? First, overhead. Or at least overhead checked. They're going to run the valve train. when you're getting overhead done, have them. They're gonna check. Well, they won't, but you can ask them check compression. You can have them check, pull the turbo down, check, make sure there's no oil. It doesn't look like it's got any seals or anything, going on inside of it. I'm trying to think there's kind of a whole list of stuff. There's lots of little things, right? I'm sure it's had hoses and belts and tensioners and all these little odds and ends. They can check. If you have access and time, the beautiful thing would be go put it on a dyno.
I was going to say, dyno.
Right there is tell you that, because like I said, the guys that run these dynos, they're freaks. They're freaks, and even the ones that just do them for a factory, right, or do them for a freaking Iron Mountain or something. But they're freaks. They're number freaks, and they're graph freaks. So they maybe you can see it too, or you'll see it too. But they see a little dip in a acceleration pattern or a fuel rail pressure, and they can nail it right there and say, and they probably see stuff and know stuff. That's common at that time, like in Detroit with injector seals, right? Stuff like that. It's like, oh, it's time. This was not leaking, but the pressure's down on this side. Tells me that it's got a little injector cup or a little injector seal leaking.
Right.
Just barely.
It's amazing what you can find from a dyno and an oil sample. Just saying.
CB. That was CB. Sorry. What's up,
CB? CB said I keep getting traces of oil in the glass headlines. Compressor head leak.
Yep. Yeah, that would be. So technically, compressor head leak's probably the number one thing. Technically, but it's going to come from the same place. Is you could have a little oil coming back through your air dryer. But it's probably, it's going to come from the compressor initially because you're feeding your main line in there. But you could have a signal line or something that's got a little oil leak because your signal lines will run through. They may run through. What's your engine, CB? What do you run? What do you got? I don't even know, and I probably should know. And I'm sorry that I don't. But yeah, and compressor heads. Now the heads I don't think are very cheap, but the fix on them is usually pretty. It's pretty quick in and out. Compressor heads aren't that big a deal. Sometimes they're a headache to get to, but usually
not. So you said he's a balance bead convert too. Bear Hunter asked, how about Centromatics or beads? He answered that. Mike is full of hot air. Randy said that. I'm just saying.
You know what? You should block him. I know you don't block or ban anybody, but that is the guy right there that I would vote for.
For real, right?
CB's got a Detroit Series 60.
Okay, yeah.
I love that motor.
Oh man, yeah. So you're running. Of course he is. That doesn't surprise me. CB, he's a cool dude. He's like the king of the one-liners too. If you see him in one of my live feeds, he's like the king of the one-liners. Yeah, I would say you're probably looking at a compressor head.
Hey Mike, Boneyheads wanted to do a little PSA for you here. He said a lady trucker was just in Zella and says you need to go get yourself checked out, bro. I'm just saying. So what happened? What is a dyno? That's like a legit question, and thank you for asking.
Okay. Yeah, that's one of those things, Charlie, that we think that everybody knows because we know.
Right.
But there was a time when we asked as well.
Right. Because I'm like, what the hell you mean a dyno? What is that?
Yeah. So what was it? 14 billion BC. I don't know. No, I'm just kidding.
Right.
I don't know. Yeah. So so a dyno is I don't even know how to explain it. So there's
it's
two
like
types.
It's like a treadmill for a truck.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly. I was just saying there's two types. There's an engine dyno, which obviously is just for an engine, itself, on a stand. But what you're going to deal with is a truck or a full, I don't even know what they call it, drive-on dyno, I guess.
Right. Yep.
Name of this, but it's what it looks like, a big treadmill, basically. Or really, most of the time it's the big drums, and they're in the floor, right? So you'll drive up on them, and there'll be a big drum or two drums that the drive tires will sit on, and they'll get in it and they'll hook up a bunch of. Depending on how it's set up, they'll hook up a bunch of sensors and plug into your truck, and somebody will get in there, but a lot of times nowadays they'll run it just from the laptop.
Right.
And they just run your truck and they'll put a load on it, just like you're pulling, 35,000 pounds or whatever it is, 42,000 pounds behind you, and they can just see every aspect, and including shift patterns, and and different, and figure out, they put in your gear ratios, and they'll know what if you got an I shift, or if you've got an Allison. Obviously most people don't have Allisons, but whatever.
Right.
If you're running a manual, there's usually obviously a guy. There's going to be a guy in there. There's going to have to be a guy in there, and he'll run through different gears.
I feel like that guy's super brave, by the way, in a manual.
Yeah, I
Can
don't
you
know
imagine
how.
it's just like locking up and all of a sudden, bam! Oh crap!
Yeah.
So, but they're just going to watch 20 different screens. They're going to have
Right.
fuel curves. They're going to have torque and horsepower readings. They're going to have, like I said, they'll have transmission. They'll have shift points, because a lot of times they're gonna lock it down. It's not going to get above like 6th gear on a truck, something like that.
Right.
And then they'll start off in 3rd. Kind of the same way. It's going to start like on a hill assist. That they'll set it up like that. And they're going to be able to tell you what your fuel mileage is, what it should be. So if it's not what they think it should be, they're going to figure out reasons. They can turbo speed, temperatures, after treatment systems, how your after treatment systems functioning while the truck's actually moving, right? While it's under a load, and it's starting the 7th injector starting to fire, and what's happening when it's doing it. How much do they cost? I think they're under 1,000. But I know Iron Mountain, when you buy a truck at Iron Mountain, Randy's in here. He's had an Iron Mountain truck, but when you Iron Mountain, I think, and I don't think this is a deal because you're buying a truck through them, but I think that the number is around $800.
Right.
And honestly,
how often do you think someone should put one on a dyno?
It's not an every year thing. I think probably every milestone, right? Every 5, when it's time for an overhead, throw it,
right. There's just so much information you could get out of it.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things that I would say to do, like you said, if you're doing an overhead, man, why not? They're doing a lot of work right there already. It's not a lot of tedious work. Well, it is tedious work, but it's not a hugely involved thing for the guys that actually know how to do it. That's not me. I tried. I was gonna do mine one day, and I went to everybody's favorite YouTube and was learning how to do stuff, and I'm like, nah, bro, I'm good. I'm not gonna do it because I don't want to get anything in there, because my world would have I would have had a sandstorm.
Yep.
What
Tim,
happened?
Google, obviously you're on YouTube. Get on YouTube and put in if you do cars, you're going to see all kinds of crazy stuff.
Right.
Put diesel engine dyno in the search bar. You'll see about 4 million videos pop up. Or put in semi truck wheel dyno. I guess they would call them a wheel dyno. Maybe a moving dyno or something to that effect. You'll see immediately, and they'll show you stuff.
Tennessee John's got a price for Pittsburgh Power. I don't know if that's current or not. $13.20 an hour.
Okay, there you go.
I want to say something about Pittsburgh Power, though. They're going to be more expensive because it's not techs or mechanics that are running that dyno. It's actual engineers,
like crazy,
actual engineers. Mechanical and electrical engineers.
I was thinking they're about 800. Honestly, I feel like that's
yeah.
Which is, there you go, is that's going to be a little bit more. Man, I just had a thought.
And they also need about 3 weeks lead time if you want to use their
I'm going to say, and I don't know this, but I'm going to say probably a lot of dynos they're probably booked out.
Right.
And it also should only take about an hour. This is not a, oh my gosh, my truck's gonna be there 5 hours. They're gonna roll it up on there. They're gonna lock the truck down, so it obviously doesn't move off, and they're gonna hook a laptop up to it, and they're gonna pop a hood, and all their stuff's just like going in for surgery, right? They know what they need, and they're gonna hook up. They've done it a million times, and they hook it up, and they're gonna run it for 8 to 10 minutes, get it up to temp, and then they're gonna load test it 2 or 3 times unless they're having an issue, and then they're going to take it right off the dyno. It's not going to be a long thing.
I'll warn you guys though too. You want to take this step. It's great for your truck. It's great for your business. But when you haven't been to the dentist in a long time, and you get done with your checkup, and they have what's called a treatment plan.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Expect a treatment plan for your truck.
Right. For real.
And have the conversation of, okay, well, I only have like $4,000. How much of this can I get done for that?
Right. Because that's like a real thing. Let's just be real.
I'm coming up on 1 million miles on my truck. and I'm going to take mine in right at $1 million and have it done. And I'm thinking there's probably going to be some things
Yep.
at
Oh,
that
you're gonna
mileage.
give them a list.
If you're and it, for anybody in here that's, I mean, again, because I know there's some lease guys in here that are looking, you know, if you buy a truck and you don't take it to a dyno, shame on you, straight up. I don't care where you're buying it from. If you're buying it from Swift, you're buying it from Knight, if you're buying it from Iron Mountain, you're buying it from the guy that lives down the street from you that you've seen the truck since the day he brought it home and, you know, and put the plastic fucking hubcap covers on it. If you don't take it to a dyno, then because you can immediately find issues that no one is going to find exist.
Right.
And that only benefits you in both ways, because if it's something that you can either negotiate a price and they're going to tell you, hey, look, you know, if they don't have a shop there at the dyno, which most of them do, they're going to say, hey, this, you know, here it is. And here's a book hour on it. You know, it's a 4-hour book hour.
Right.
So you already know what it potentially is going to cost you. And if they say, hey, this truck has 0 problems, then, I mean, you can take that to the bank that when you go and get the 50,000 or 30,000 or 180,000, if you're buying a relatively new truck or whatever, I guess they're not that much right now, but for a used one, that's a little bit more of a peace of mind, right?
For real.
You did. It's not like going to a car dealership and buying, a Ford Explorer. Right? It's just not. You're not doing the same thing.
And okay, so let's wrap this into the Swift IEL Knight realm, right? Yep. They do 30 days. Like your first 30 days, anything you find wrong with it, they will cover.
That's awesome,
right? So let's say you take it to the dyno in that first 30 days, and they're like, "Oh, well, you've got bad seal, you've got bad this, you got a bad that." You're like, "Bro, check it out. Here's the proof. Here's my list. Go fix this, and hey, get it done, man, before it costs you money." Because a dyno will find problems before you know the problem is there. Yep. It's like oil samples. I mean, you can see, you know, increases in this or that. You know, certain wear metals are more persistent, or the amount of wear metals that you get over, you know, this 25,000 mile period versus the last 25,000 mile period. You're like, oh, it was, you know, I don't know, 10 parts per million last 25,000 miles, but 30,000 parts per million this 25,000 miles. You're like, oh, that might be an indicator of something. I'm just saying. Yep. So do you have a recommendation for best winter fuel treatment? I can't answer that question. I don't treat my fuel at all.
I was going to say I'm going to tell you, and I know you have the Pittsburgh guys on here, and I fully believe, because we did the freaking
right.
OPS thing, you know what, a few weeks ago.
Right.
It is, I think treatments are a gimmick, and here's why. Is okay. So if you're running a mega, right? If you're running a mega or at a mega, whether you're a company driver or a lease driver, and you're running their fuel, or you're able to go to their terminals and get fuel from time to time. So Knight doesn't treat fuel, right? We don't treat fuel at the end of yard. You're not going to, when our 60,000 gallons get filled up there, they don't treat it at all. Zero. Right. Doesn't care. I don't care what time of year it is and what the temperature is going to be. They don't treat it. And the reason they don't treat it is because anywhere you go, as long as you're running up in the north in the winter, is you're going to buy treated fuel.
Right.
At some point, because if you're up north, they are treating fuel. If you're running down south, and you run Florida all winter long, and I want to run up to Colorado or wherever, Wyoming, and it's February. Well, before you get to Colorado, you're going to get fuel, and you're going to get treated fuel before then. The catalyst and all that stuff, the clean out stuff. I mean, if it makes you feel better, but I think that stuff's kind of gimmicky also, personally. Now, I
could argue with the science on it, but some of them versus others. I believe there are a lot of snake oil things out there.
Probably a better way to put it. Yeah.
I have an anecdotal example, though.
Go
915,000 miles on one DPF.
There you go. That's awesome. Is that now? Are you running a catalyst?
I run the catalyst. Yes.
Yep. There you go.
And when I have it, and I have it cleaned by DPF units.
That's awesome. That's amazing, right? That's an amazing story right there, because that doesn't happen in anything.
But right? He is religious about it, like I am with mine.
Doing the things that need done when
you know what I mean. And like I was in a conference call one day with a bunch of Swift people out of a different terminal. and it was interesting because I was like, look, why can't we put OPSs on our trucks? Because it'll prolong the life, and I know your stance on it. I go by the science of it, and so they're like, well, Swift did that once years
with
back.
5 trucks.
Yeah, with 5 trucks, and every one of those motors blew. And the reason they blew, they literally put the OPS on. They
Never changed the filters.
Never changed the filter.
Yep.
They never did sampling. They never changed the oil. They're like, oh, it's an extended life thing. So
Yep.
they ran 400,000 miles, having no idea what was in the oil when it needed to be replaced. Right?
That's a lot.
Yeah, and they did all these things and blew up motors.
Yep.
And guys were never even checking a dipstick, let alone changing a filter.
And we had, and when I contacted you a few weeks ago, right, there's a huge YouTuber in my little world, right, that's got that's the argument I had with him. He said, I don't change my oil. I just do my samples and, this, that, and the other. He said, well, you're an idiot, right? Because that's not what it says. If you go to Pittsburgh Power and call Eric, that's who I called, right? Your recommendation. I called that number. I talked to Eric for 45 minutes.
Yep. I like that guy, by the way. Right? That guy will tell you some things you've never even thought of.
Yeah, and you sent me a bunch of stuff on it. I read it, and it was like over my head. But I mean, I understood what it's saying. But is that there again? That goes back to if you're not changing your oil ever, whatever, that's crazy. Guess what else you're not doing? You're not lifting your hood. You're not seeing any of this stuff that's going on in between. Well, it's not even in between because you're not even doing it. So, you don't know that hey, this, the hose, and you don't know that, hey, my coolant's low, and you don't see it. And if you're doing it once a month because you got this system, I send an oil sample in every 4th week. Well, when you open the hood, you don't remember what it looked like.
Right.
If there's not something that's very eye-catching, or you don't know about the little coolant leak that's been blowing underneath your hood, you just know that your AC has smelled really nice for the last 3 weeks. I mean, it just
Hey, going back to Tony Green earlier. Sorry, go ahead.
The thing is that an extended oil drain doesn't mean no oil drains.
Right.
I typically get to about 125,000 miles between drains. Yep. That's when the Polaris lab tells me, hey, get that oil out of there.
They're like, dump it, bro.
And I change my OPS every 25,000 miles and take an oil sample. And again, 915,000 miles, the only numbers that are off on my oil samples are the base.
Right.
Which apparently is an issue because these trucks have a 50,000 mile oil drain on them, standard. And the oil companies noticed, hey, they don't need to put that much of their stuff in there because the trucks aren't using it. Right. Well, then you get into an extended oil drain and you are using it. So you got to put an additive in the oil to make up for that.
Yep.
So back to Jonah, when he was talking about the slow takeoff from the start, he said it's always been that way since he's had the truck. So I would actually say it's a good chance that it's in the performance settings in the ECM. That's just my guess because mine is an absolute slug off the line, my 23 Freightliner, and I've just learned to live with it because I used to like eat tires up with Chewy because every time I got a green light, whoever was next to me, we were racing, bro.
So Charlie and I have noticed he's more of a tire molester than I am, but we've noticed heel to toe wear on almost every automatic truck that's in.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
So I think there's like a weird torque thing, and it's just I don't know, man.
They get in the hill assist, and I mean, I tell you one thing that's it's here, but it's not here yet. Is they're putting more of this learning, right? Everything's learning, just like your phone's learning and your whatever's learning and adapting, and these trucks are going to start doing that too, and you're going to things like that are going to come up where it's like, oh, well, this guy's easy on throttle anyway, so we're really going to make him, easy when he takes off. And you're not, it's not going to be not fixable, but it's going to seem like a problem, and it's not a problem. I mean, I guess it's a problem, but it's not an actual problem, right? It's just the way, the way the computer's set up, the way the truck's going to start, trying to think for you more and more, I guess.
Right. Let's see.
You got to throw that one up before we run out of time.
How do I know if my flux capacitor is bad? Good God,
Well,
I
I'll tell
wanna
you.
go in the
Okay,
Wayback
so
Machine,
I know who Sage is, right? So
right?
Sage is a broker. So all of you can give him a thumbs down. If you want to give him a middle finger, go ahead and do that too.
Nice.
Um,
Nice.
and I'm sure you all feel that way from time to time. Sorry,
Yeah,
Sage.
at least Pittsburgh Power posts their prices before you authorize the work. Let's see. Willie's Pub says, "Is this a
Oh.
professional show? Why is Mike the mechanic in it?"
No, it's Mike the Machine. You're a machine,
Yeah.
Mike.
Mike the Machine. Yeah, that's because Willie's old. He doesn't even know what he's typing half the time. So
Right. I have tried to call Willie out. I don't know how many times. Keep telling him I'm gonna come down and we're gonna like joust on wheelchairs or something, like the little carts and stuff. And he just ignores me on your channel, which is cool, whatever, Willie. But now you're here, so now you gotta listen to me, bro.
yeah.
You're just down the road and we can do some stuff, and I will absolutely joust you in a freaking easy go kart or whatever.
Hey, that sounds like another pay-per-view for Swift Charities
There
event.
you go.
Something.
I'll promote it on my channel.
Tim Saburn said, I had oil samples done in Iowa a few years back, couldn't understand the results. They emailed me, it was all confusing, numbers all over the place. It was mind-boggling. So that's the thing with I'm gonna go ahead, Jeff.
So that's the thing with Pittsburgh Power. If you get the oil sampling stuff from them, they will actually go over it with you. I've had them call me about my oil samples before I even knew that they were processed to go over them.
Oh, that's
And
awesome.
they explain what every little thing is, increased potassium could be injectors, maybe I haven't had anything other than the base, but they go over with what all these numbers mean
Right
with you.
And
So
the base is all kind of comes back to the low sulfur diesel, right? That's
Right.
kind of what the base puts off, is because of what's being produced when there's
Right.
combustion in the cylinders,
Right.
and it's transferring. Yeah. I was
Peter Snow said, "Thanks for the live stream. You haven't laughed for a while." Well, I'm glad we can make you laugh, bro.
Yay!
I'm just saying. And DJ Bolin, I'm glad you guys finally have a real mechanic on your lifey, bro.
Damn, DJ, come on, man.
Dang, man, we get Pittsburgh Power in here.
This is the love I get on my channel too.
Oh man, these guys. Look,
impressive.
Willie, Coach's ugly sweater wants a date. I'm just saying. I'll video it. We could like do a whole thing. We could make like a video series of this whole how it went. And look, I'll bring the good camera and everything. We'll mic everybody. Maybe we shouldn't mic them up. That would be weird.
Yeah, well, coaches, you know where to get him. Siesta Key. Definitely on Sundays. He's out,
right
out on the beaches.
Out there at the beach, yo. Just saying. Hey, let's see. Just drove a company truck, and none of this matters. Just drive a company truck and none of this matters. Hey, look, that's an option, man. I mean, look, nothing wrong with it. I mean, you do you.
True, and you know what? And to that is quick hit, right? He's down there. I see him.
Yep.
Quick guy that got me hooked up with Knight, right? He's been with Knight, correct me quick, 12, 13 years. Company guy all the way through, right? Before you had that, he hauled cars, hauled high-end cars with his own equipment. But he's a company guy through and through, right? He's a Knight guy. He'll beat your head in for talking about Knight bad, right? But I'm gonna tell you is that him, and he's got a little like a crew that out of Indy, and they're just company guys. But I mean, they maintain their trucks, and obviously they're not doing the maintenance on them, but they know that's what his answer is right there. Truck. They know truck, so they know when hey, we're getting ready to go into winter, and it's time to up our microns on our fuel filters, and maybe I am not thinking about that because it's just another truck that's out in the the horseshoe bobtail lot waiting to get serviced. But they know this stuff, so that's that variant. Just because it doesn't cost him any more to keep his truck nice, right? It doesn't cost him $1 more, and it really, other than maybe stuff he does to it personally, it doesn't cost him any more. What it does do is keep him from being broke down at the terminal, just making whatever detention pay. Because he knows a little bit more about it.
CB, you are absolutely right here. Performance data is helpful. Just don't succumb to paralysis by analysis. Look, I am occasionally that guy. I'm like deep in the numbers. I'm like, oh crap, what does this one mean? And make a decision. Yeah,
and just for anybody that's I know, and I don't know, but I think like Speedco and them, they'll do oil samples still for you. Is if you call Shell, right? I'm not saying you're going to get an answer right now. They may tell you, hey, we'll email you back with a call, a 20-hour wait 3 days from now. But there's people there that will talk to you about this stuff. If you don't know, you can Google it and try to work it out. But if you don't want to, it's the same thing as Pittsburgh Power, right? When we were doing that week, and I was on that live feed about the OPS, I knew the information that they were telling me. What little bit I knew was wrong, so I just called them, right? And they put me through, and I told them who I was, and it wasn't because I was a tech at night, right? That that Eric got me on the phone and talked to me for 45 minutes.
Right.
It was because they want you. And Shell and all these big companies, I mean, do they really care? Probably not. But if you care, there's somebody in there that does that will explain it to you or try to help explain it to you, right?
So Hooded Peter Schmidt says, I'm always driving a new truck. You get them under 10,000 miles and about 200,000 miles goes wrong. My company puts me in another 10,000 mile truck. I've only driven one truck over 350,000 miles in the last 10 years. And bro, that's like cool for you. I'm not knocking it. I've got a truck that's got 1.7 million miles that I didn't get until it had 492,000 miles on it. I know everything that's wrong with that truck.
Yeah,
I know every inch of that truck. You know what I'm saying? And we're not cracking on it. I mean, look, being a contractor or an owner operator isn't for everybody. I mean, if everybody shouldn't do it. I mean, 60% of the people that do it absolutely should not do it.
Yep.
That's just facts. I don't care what anybody says. Anybody wants to argue that, we can argue all day long. I can share some data that will hurt your brain.
Well, you know, if you follow all the stuff we do too, you have to want to be in business to do what we do.
Yeah,
you know, it's not just truck driving for us. It's the challenge of like right now, Charlie. You know,
yeah,
the freight market sucks right now. I don't know how it is over at night, Mike, but we're pretty much suffering over here at Swift.
Yeah, it's pretty. I don't want to say that they're suffering, but yeah, it's down.
It ain't great,
right? I can see it in the yards because our yards. I mean, you know, probably like y'all, a lot of dropping hooks, right? So a lot of the trailers are loaded, and you know, the yard's very bare, or the trailers that are in there are not loaded. You know, which is the opposite of the way it was. You know, when the beginning of this year, when it still wasn't great, it's way better than what it was now. But you know, everything, and yeah, we're seeing it there too.
Yeah. So for people like us, though, it's the challenge of, okay, the freight market sucks. How do I still make money?
Right.
You know, that's what it is for us.
So Quick Hit said, I got more than I can do. Yeah, and I'm willing to bet. I'm going to throw something out here about that because of what you said about Quick Hit. Is he has relationships.
Yep.
He's known to run. He's known to take care of his truck, right? These are all things that we're preaching to people like on a regular basis. We're like, build relationships, communicate, be known as the go-to guy, right?
Right.
You know, all these things, they add up. And in a tough freight market, those little things can be the difference between you actually making money or not making money.
I can tell you that Quick is the Hooded Peter Schmidt guy. Quick's in that category. He's in his million mile truck at night. I think Swift does the same thing, but when you get 1 million miles, they give you your choice of what you want, right? I mean, to an extent, but whatever. But before that, because it was around this time last year when he turned his million, but his truck wasn't ready, so they just put him in a brand new LT until, you know, so for 6 or 8 months he drove a brand new truck to jump in a brand new another truck, and before that he was in a brand new truck. And it has been for a long minute, but he came in the yard 3 weeks ago, give or take, and was on a weekend, you know, a long weekend, and was hanging out. And he came in the yard, and there was guys there that wouldn't take a 50-mile run from Indy to the south side, basically south side of Indy, to just drop and hook a trailer. And he came in to do some home time, and he took the 50-mile run that they paid him, I think, pretty good for, just to go, you know, to 100 miles basically back and forth, because there was guys that wouldn't do it because it wasn't a big pay run. It wasn't a big mile run, but they knew, I mean, he's the guy that will do that, you know, and he'll do it every time. And I mean, Hooded Peter Schmidt's probably the same guy, right? He's the guy that he's like you say, he's the go-to guy. When they got an issue, they call him and a small list of others,
Right.
right, that are in that area.
Right.
And, you know, people think, you know, and Jeff and I get called, you know, Mr. Swift and all this other crap all the time. And they think that, you know, we get special treatment because of YouTube. And I'm like, no, but because I was doing all these things before YouTube, long before YouTube, right? When people weren't running, I would still get loads. Why? Because they knew that they could count on me for things, and they were a little more open to giving me loads because they knew, one, I'm not going to complain about it. I'm just going to do what needs to be done. I'm going to get it there on time. It's going to be there safe. And it's just more work, man. They know they can count on me, you know, since 08 when I started, you know, 100% on time service. I've never been late at Swift that it was my fault. I mean, sure, you know, there's weather delays, things like that, but I have never been the reason a load was late. And one of our biggest things right now is we can't get people to deliver freight on time. And then they're like, oh, you know, well, I had 3 days on the load and I waited till the last day and I was going to run the whole 600 miles today and I got a flat tire. Well, if you had left 3 days ago, you probably would have got that flat 3 days ago and still had 2 days to get there and hang out and maybe go sightseeing or something. I don't know. Dude, we kept you like the whole 2 hours, bro. I'm sorry. You were just on a roll and it was like flowing. And
if I wasn't enjoying it, I wouldn't be here. No, I appreciate it. Like I said, we talked about how long we've been talking about this.
I know, dude, forever.
Set it and just do it, because I mean, I'll be the first to tell you, obviously, I don't know everything about anything, right? But I can find out. I can definitely I have ways of finding out. And you know, anybody that has questions, if I can't figure it out, we'll find somebody that can figure it out, right?
See, and so for anyone who doesn't know, when you guys send me a code and I'm like, hang on, I'll get you an answer, I send that code to Mike.
Yep. I'm the one that, I can't always find it, but I mean, our local dealerships, right? I mean, Knight has relationships. There's that relationship word, right? With all these dealerships, because we send trucks in there because they're warranty. And if the job's, you know, we don't do overheads. We don't do, you know, we don't do EGRs. We don't do real time consuming stuff. If it's a warranty item, it goes in there. So, you know, I mean, if I need to call the service manager, the Freightliner service manager, you know, here in Indy, you know, I don't know him, but I can call him and get the answers I need to. If I need to drive down there, then we'll do that too, right? Same way with Kenworth or Kenworth International, Volvo. Volvo guys suck, but you know, that is what it is. I think all Volvo dealerships suck. So, but we get answers out of them, right?
Right. So Smoke said this has been a very interesting and educational tonight. So Smoke, thank you. I appreciate you being over here. I will say this: those of you guys who came over here because of Mike, and I appreciate you guys being here. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, we're so close, like organically, to hitting that 1K. We're like 948.
Organically.
I did. You like that?
Yeah.
It's a synergy. I feel like I should add the word synergy to that as well, just to, you know, get all the buzzwords in there. And I don't know. Hey, think about it. I mean, look, no, not today, Wimpy McPote. I'm not going to play an outro because we are at our limit. Well, it's our own personal set limit. We try to keep it right at 2 hours because it gets tiring, bro. I'm not lying. And I've got stuff I want to go do after this too. I'm not gonna lie. Like go over to Mike's channel and watch the things that I know are going to happen.
I'm mean to you, my lord, you big baby.
Right? God.
Christmas. Oh,
I don't think I've ever seen him be mean to you.
No. She's an NFG person. That's
I know. She's just trying to stir the pot, bro. But hey, dude, I appreciate you coming over here, man, and we will definitely do it again because, definitely for real, we will. And so, all the rest of you people, thanks for popping in. If you hadn't hit that thumbs, if you're watching this on the replay, go down and drop comments because it helps us with all that crazy YouTube crap that we have to do to make things happen. I don't know, it's weird, whatever. But so yeah, go drop comments down below. Let us know you made it to the end. That would be cool if you're watching this on the replay and you actually went the whole 2 hours and listened to all of us ramble and go crazy like this. And Windguard, good to see you. Look, and we guys see on my channel.
We did have some pretty good after hours conversation last week. So
yeah,
man,
so
if you got questions, put them up and we'll get to them.
Awesome.
Good start deal. Over. I missed the beginning. Oh, Hey everybody, it's Tuesday, October 24th, and
It's almost Wednesday.
T-Bone, Pound Sand, brother, I love you, and I don't even know you, but I'm just gonna say it. So, hey, thanks, Mike.
Anytime,
Mike,
man.
I had
Any,
to point in the right direction. That's weird.
yeah,
trying
there
to
you
point
go.
at stuff.
I'll do the
Look,
same
look,
thing.
look. Here's Mike too. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Anyone ever notice all these ducks back here behind me? Those came from that man as well. Not gonna lie.
No, I got a whole box of them somewhere. I don't know where it's at.
I've passed them out to several people. Jeff keeps one in his truck. I have one for someone else.
I don't know if they're good luck, so I don't know.
I don't know, man. I dig it. I think it's fun. And you know what? So thank you everybody for being here. Come check us back out. We are here live every Tuesday, 6 p.m. Eastern time. You know, even if you don't like Swift, we talk about things that aren't just Swift. I'm just saying. We just want to talk about running a better trucking business. And you know, exactly, Smoke. Pound Sand people. We love you all, and we will see you soon. Mike, I'll see you over on your channel. I'll see you over on your channel next thing, whatever you do, because
Oh yeah, we got some good drama coming out in a couple.
I was gonna say,
if
if you guys like crazy
background, that's the background.
absolute crazy drama, and in the trucking sphere of people who tell things that I don't know.
Yeah.
Look, Narc's got some opinions.
Yes.
And while they're not mine, they are hilarious no matter what.
That's
I'm
right.
just gonna say it. And some people can't take a joke.
No,
So
for sure, right. But
we're gonna kill this thing. Thanks, brother, for being here, and we will do this again, absolutely for sure. And everybody else, we'll see you soon.
yes.